I know you're out there. Oh, hey, didn't see it there. Tony Hooper here with the Lair Oceanographic Institute, and I've been called through the Omen Pass to help identify and, well, deal with a shark that's been loose here on the Avishkar seas. And I know what you're thinking. What is it? It's just a shark. We face off against dragon gods and Eldrazi horror and all sorts of other monstrosities, but this just isn't any shark. This is at least a 25 footer, and he channels the power of red mana, which you know is the most reckless of all mana. Today I'm talking about a relentless predator, Jaws. I'm gonna tell you who this character is and then build a deck befitting such a natural and ruthless monster. And maybe, by the end, we'll make the beaches of Avishkar just a little bit safer. All right, let's talk about Jaws, the 1975 movie which basically invented the summer blockbuster. The movie takes place in a quiet little town called Amity Island where everything is pretty good. It's a tourist town. They make a bunch of their money, you know, through tourism and beaches and all that. And everything's going great until a shark decides to start attacking people in the town. The town's police chief, Martin Brody, wants to shut down the town, or at least shut down the beaches so that people can't, you know, get killed by the shark that is currently patrolling our waters. The town's mayor, super greedy, does not want to shut down the town because it's 4th of July weekend coming up and the town basically relies on tourism to survive. So he'd rather sacrifice a couple of people than shut down the beaches for a little bit so we can deal with the shark problem. The shark ends up attacking a couple more people. The mayor gets the hint and they actually shut down the beaches, which is very good. What's not so good is the people that we're relying on to take down the shark: Brody, the police chief who's afraid of water, a young marine biologist named Matt Hooper, who is very full of himself, and Quint, a grizzled old shark hunter who is probably clinically insane.
You read me. Coast Guard, this is the Orca to you. Excuse me, Chief.
The first half of the story is a political suspense thriller kind of movie, and the second half of the movie is kind of like the bro movie, where the three guys head out to the water to go hunt the shark. They're hanging out, they're getting to know each other, they're becoming real good friends, and of course one of them's gonna end up dying. The grizzled shark hunter ends up dying right before Brody figures out, hey, I can kill the shark by doing one of the most iconic things of all time: throwing a can of compressed air into its mouth and then shooting it with a gun, saying one of the dopest one-liners ever.
Smile, you son of a...
And that's basically how the movie ends. Matt and Martin are done. They take down the shark, they go tell the town everybody's happy. And then there are sequels where more sharks do the thing, but we're not talking about those. Jaws is very cool. What makes it special isn't just like it's a shark, you know, it's a shark attacking people. You barely see the shark in the movie. And I think that's actually like the thing, you know? It adds a lot of suspense in that, where you just don't see the shark, you don't know exactly what you're looking at, you don't know how big it is, and then when you do finally see the shark, yeah, it's an old animatronic from the 70s, but it still looks pretty cool. Jaws terrified a generation, made people afraid to swim, and honestly is just one of the greatest movies of all time. The shark, Jaws, is just a shark. There's no mythical, magical like element to the story. It's just like a shark attacking people. So there's not a lot to say on this character, if you want to call him that. He's just a force really to move the plot forward. But here's a fun fact about Jaws. His actual name is Bruce, or at least the animatronic that is Jaws is named Bruce. That's what they call him on set. So there's that. All right, so I think we firmly established that Jaws is more of a force of nature and less of a character. So I'm going to focus more on what the card's abilities say and less on like how Jaws would feel about a certain card being in his deck like I normally do in these videos. So let's start with Jaws himself. This is our commander, Jaws Relentless Predator. This is a legendary creature shark for 3 and 2 red. It's a 5/5 and it has trample and haste, and it says whenever Jaws deals combat damage to a player, create that many blood tokens. And whenever a non-creature artifact is sacrificed or destroyed, Jaws deals 1 damage to each opponent. So we want to fill our deck with as many token creating things that are going to make artifacts so that we can then sacrifice them and deal a bunch of damage to our opponents as quickly as possible. To that end, we have a few categories that are going to help us do that, starting with card advantage. We got Faithless Looting. This will give us some card selection, help us sculpt our hand. Then we got Ragavan Nimble Pilferer. This will allow us to see some of our opponent's cards and then create some treasures. Demand Answer is going to help us loot through our deck. Same thing with Thrill of Possibilities. Bellicute Awakening is going to allow us to resculpt our hand, which is going to be very useful. Big Score is going to help us loot and then also going to create us some treasure tokens. Game Changer, the One Ring, is the best card in the deck. It's the best card in any deck that it's in. If you want to make your deck better, just play the One Ring. And then Unexpected Windfall is going to help us loot and then create some treasure tokens. Our next category is the damage category. We have a couple of different types of cards in here, starting with Reckless Fireweaver. This is going to do a bad version of what our commander does. It's going to care about when we create a bunch of artifacts, so it's going to deal damage in that way. And this will also be able to be modified by some of the other cards in the deck, which is makes this card a little more useful than it looks like. Aggravated Assault is going to allow our commander to attack over and over again. It's also a mana sink, and that's super relevant. Osier Axe Nil is a damage modifier. Torbrand Thane of Redfall is also a damage modifier. Man, this card is creeping up in price. $3.25 now is kind of wild. I remember when this card was like literally 25 cents. And then we got our next category. It's our equipment category. So we want to be able to protect our commander and make sure it's doing what it does in the most efficient way. So we have cards like Commander's Plate, which is going to give our commander protection from everything that's not red. So 80% of the board. Shadow Spear, which is going to give our commander lifelink, which is going to be super useful. We'll definitely be taking some damage, and this will help us gain some back. But Shadow Spear also has that activated ability that turns off Indestructible and Hexproof, which is very, very good. Then we have Lightning Greaves and Swiftfoot Boots. Both of those are going to be useful just to make sure our commander can't be targeted with stuff. Nettlesis is very interesting. This can act as a creature for us, or it can act as a big buff to our commander, because we're going to be creating a bunch of artifacts with our commander, and our Nettlesis is going to see all those artifacts, make our commander bigger when we equipped it, and it's going to be a little bit of a feedback loop, making our commander bigger and bigger and bigger, which is great. And then we have the Reaver Cleaver. This is going to give our commander a form of evasion with trample, but it's also going to create us a bunch of treasure tokens with our commander, which is very good. All right, then we have our interaction category, starting with Lightning Bolt. If I'm running a red deck, I'm running Lightning Bolt. It is just the quintessential red card. Then we got Vandal Blast. This is the blowout card in the deck. Normally this is just like a good utility card, but in this deck, it's going to do a massive amount of damage to our opponents because they're going to have a bunch of artifacts because it's commander, and our commander says whenever the artifacts get destroyed, we deal damage to them. This card is so good. Then we have Spiteful Banditry. This is going to create us treasure, which is good, but it's also a board wipe. Untimely Malfunction is probably one of the best cards in the last couple of years. This card is just so good. It can destroy artifacts, it can change spell targets, or it can make things unblockable or semi-unblockable. Super, super good. You're going to need a bigger boat or a braid. We're running it because it came with the secret lair. We would have run it anyway. It's good generic utility, removal, and interaction, but it also came with the secret lair, so we're definitely running it. Got a game changer here. We got Deflecting Swat. There are other redirect spells, so if you don't want to run Deflecting Swat, it's like $70 something right about now, which is really high. There are other options here, but Deflecting Swat is the best, and I think Jawsicer is the best. Then we have Seize the Spotlight. This can create us card advantage or treasures, or it can allow us to take some of our opponent's creatures. And for the last card, our interaction category, we have Blasphemous Act, the quintessential big red spell. This is the best board wipe in red. All right, next we got our ramp category, and a bunch of our cards do ramp, but this is very specifically ramp, starting with things like Lotus Petal, which can be sacrificed to activate our commander's ability, which is great. Then we got Mana Vault. This is a ritual that can help us get our commander out as early as turn 2, and then we can sacrifice it later with one of our other abilities, so we don't take a bunch of damage from it. Really good. We got Soul Ring because it's commander. We have Arcane Signet because it's commander. Iron Mirror is a good ramp creature. Ruby Medallion is cost reduction, and it's going to help make a bunch of our spells cost way less. Seething Song says, on turn 3, cast your commander if you have this card. Scepter of Eternal Glory is just decent ramp. Fire Crystal is cost reduction, plus it can duplicate some of our non-legendary creatures, and it's a haste enabler. It's a very, very good card. Mana Geyser is big mana go burr. And the Neheb is very likely to create us a bunch of mana since our commander does a bunch of onesie-twosie damage. You can cast Neheb, have our commander do its thing, and then go to second main and just get a bunch of mana. Our next category is a sacrifice artifact category. This is one of the most important categories in the deck, so we want to be able to sacrifice or destroy artifacts as efficiently as possible. This starts with things like Goblin Welder. We'll be able to pick artifacts up out of our grave using this, and then sack artifacts, which is the more relevant text here. Arcbound Ravager is fantastic. There's a select few creatures in the deck that it can give its counters to if it dies, but otherwise it's a really, really good free artifact sacrifice outlet. Atog is a free artifact sacrifice outlet. That is why it's in the deck. It's not fantastic, but it's also not terrible. Goblin Engineer is a graveyard setup card, and it also can recur things for us, and it's also sacrificing, so it's pretty good. Magda can make us some treasures, But we can also sacrifice treasures to get one of a select few dragons we have on the deck, and those dragons are choice. They will almost win us the game on the spot when we play them. Crime Novelist doesn't actually sacrifice artifacts, as it were, but it does care about when we sacrifice artifacts, and that's enough for me. Krark Clan, Ironworks, KCI, the best artifact sacrifice outlet, bar none. The Infinite Combo Enabler, this card is just the best, honestly. And then Kuldotha Forge Master, being able to sack some artifacts to get any artifact from my deck is very, very good. Our next category is token creation, and that starts with Sticky Fingers. Give this to our commander, and it's creating treasure for us along with blood tokens. Academy Manufactor, we don't create treasures, clues, or food from our commander, but a bunch of things in our deck does, so this is very useful. Panic on Amity Island, aka Descent into Avernus. I don't know if I would have thought to put this in this deck immediately, but I'm so glad it came with the secret layer because this absolutely belongs in this deck. Giving all of our opponents treasure and dealing them damage, it's just feedback loop with our commander because they're going to sack those things and take even more damage. So good. Professional Facebreaker is a treasure sacrifice outlet, which is very good, but it's also card advantage, which is great. And it creates treasure. Zorn is a treasure creation doubler. It doesn't actually create treasures, but it's still very relevant. Like you say, our commander might not create treasure, but a lot of things in our deck do, so we definitely want to pay attention to that. Nipples the Enchilada. Knuckles the Echidna is one of the best cards in the deck. It's before we even get into its treasure-related things, it's double strike, trample, haste. So that alone is very, very good. But whenever one or more creatures you control deal combat damage to a player, create a treasure token. So you got 3 opponents, create 3 treasures a turn. Very good there. And it's an alternate win condition with its alternate win condition clause. Then we have Goldspan Dragon. It makes our treasures tap for double mana, which is great, and it creates treasures. Transmutation Font is going to create us a blood, clue, or food. Then we'll be able to sack 3 artifacts with different names and find an artifact. Ancient Copper Dagon is the best treasure creating thing currently in Commander since Dockside got banned, and yeah, we want to find this with Magna every time. Hellkite Tyrant makes us a bunch of treasures and is also an alternate win condition alongside Knuckles, so we definitely want to play that. Reckless Endeavor. I don't know if I would have put this in this deck if it wasn't in the secret lair. It does cost 7 mana, which is a lot, but we will very likely get that right back with our treasures or dealing damage, so it's not that bad. Cavern Horde Dragons, because it's a good treasure creating dragon for us. And our final category we got is our utility category. These are for cards that I know should be in the deck, but I don't exactly know where to put them, so let's go ahead and put them here in utility. Starting with Manifold Key, this can make our Jaws unblockable, which is very good. It can also untap a few things, and you've seen that's going to be relevant in this deck. Tap of Domination is an infinite mana sink, which is great. Also lets us untap things. It's just Swiss Army knife of usefulness in this deck. This is free. It's an MDFC Sundering Eruption because we need to run lands. Sneak Attack, one of the best cards in the deck because we got a bunch of big dragons and big creatures, and our commander's pretty big. Lots of big things. Came with the secret lair. You definitely want to run this if you're going to run this deck. Pinnacle Monk, it's really good. It's an MDFC. We need to run lands, so this is free. Mycosynth Lattice. You go ahead and find this with any of your artifact search things, throw this right on board, and make all your opponents scoop it up. And finally, for our utility category, we got Wormcoil Engine. There's a couple of cards in the deck, Goblin Welder and such, so we'll be able to get this back from the graveyard, and we'll be able to use it a couple times. It's lifelink, it's Death Touch, it's a great blocker, just a great card, honestly. And that's going to do it for the main deck besides the lands. Now, like I said, I don't typically go over lands unless there's something specific I need to talk about, and usually I put that in the main bulk of the deck. I didn't this time, so we're going to talk about just a couple of lands. First one is Rogue's Passage. You want to run this. Normally, this is like yeah, you should probably run it if you're in 1 or 2 colors. No, you need to run this in this deck. Jaws wants to attack. You want to make sure Jaws gets through, so this is one of the best cards in the deck. And Urza Saga. We're going to be making a lot of artifacts, so the 2 card structs that Urza Saga can make, you should try to make them. You're very likely to be making like 12 12s or 13 13s when Urza Saga gets to make those card structs for you. Plus, fetching Soul Ring is always good. And that's going to do it for Jaws, Relentless Predator. I think I made a pretty good deck, a very solid bracket 4 deck. It's definitely going to be a Terra any bracket 3 decks you decide to play this deck against, but bracket 4, I think it's sitting right where it needs to sit. It's got enough game changes in it. It's got enough fast mana. It's got enough ramp. I think this is a very solid token artifact mono red deck, and you'll have a lot of fun if you build it. As always, Moxfield link in the description. Be sure to check that out, and let's wrap this up. Boy, that was a crazy adventure. We learned a lot about a big shark. We built a deck. Let me know down in the comments below if you make any changes to this list or if I missed anything about the Jaws lore. I think we finally understand this shark and are finally ready to tame him, maybe work together.
Rawr! Oh my God, what's that?
It's bigger Jaws.
Oh my God, now we have a common enemy. We have to work together.